I know a lot of Met fans are not happy with the Mendoza signing. Everybody thought Craig Counsell was the guy. You bring in David Stearns, he's a guy that hired Counsell, and everybody thought this is all going to work the way the Mets thought it was going to work. Well, it didn't. And maybe David Stearns believed that Mendoza was the guy that he really wanted. Mendoza's been interviewed quite a few times over the last couple of years. And there are a lot of people that think Mendoza could be a very, very good manager in the MLB. He understands how to develop players. The Mets have had problems in certain aspects of the defensive side of the ball. You bring in a guy that understands how to bring in the coaching aspect of the game. If you ask any Yankee, including Aaron Judge, on what Mendoza did for his growth, he would tell you astronomically. When you look at Mendoza, I don't know what he's going to do. We didn't know what Thompson was going to do when he took over for Joe Girardi. He took him to the World Series his first year, and then he took him to the NLCS his second year. Another Yankee guy that was there for many, many years. Now, Mendoza, he doesn't have major league management experience. But I think that's good when you bring in a guy that has been a part of the Yankees organization, a winning organization for years. Now, not championships, because in the last 4 years, the Yankees haven't won anything. But he's seen the Yankees go to the ALCS. He's been a part of growth of young players with the Yankees organization. And the Mets have a bunch of youngsters who everybody believes Mendoza can really develop. You look at the Mets farm system, it is one of the best in baseball now. When you look at this roster, we don't know if Pete Alonso is going to be a part of this team moving forward. You have Lindor there, who had a fairly good season. I still think he's overrated. I think he's overpaid. When you look at the pitching staff, Senga looks like he could be the real deal. But we have to see that back-to-back years. I said that. I thought Senga was going to be the best pitcher on the Mets when you had Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. I thought Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer were old and overpaid. Senga has proven himself his first year, but we've seen a lot of Japanese pitchers prove themselves, come to the major leagues, and then the second year, and then the third year, they get worse. Do I believe Senga's going to be that guy? I don't know, but I do know Carlos Mendoza is a very good youth player developer.
And you look at the experience he has at the Yankees Class A level, too. You wonder if that kind of thing is going to transfer to the Mets' youngest players, especially because Vientos and Beatty both had underwhelming rookie seasons for their standards. Alvarez was very good defensively and home runs. He actually had one of the highest totals for catchers in the league. But you look at the young pitching that's going to have to come through if the Mets are going to go anywhere. I know Billy Epler and David Stearns, before Billy Epler got fired, said, 2024 is not the year. But that doesn't mean you can't make strides in terms of developing what was one of the worst pitching staffs in baseball last year. And one of the oldest pitching staffs, they traded away their two $43 million a year guys, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, that were pitching like third starters. Other guys pitched better in the second half of the season. Peterson, Tyler McGill, before he got hurt, was pitching well. Quintana, they found something a little bit out of. And like you said, Senga, we'll have to see him do it a second year, but he's a Rookie of the Year finalist. There's a reason the Yankees prospects were rated so high when they were in AA and AAA, too. A lot of that has to do with the original Class A development, too. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to translate to major league managerial strategy. That doesn't mean it's going to translate into working with the analytic department. That doesn't mean it's going to translate into a team player culture guy. Those things are all wild cards for first-year managers. Look at the Diamondbacks. They hired Charlie Lavello from the Red Sox, a completely different team than what Arizona had.
100%. Yeah.
And they went to the playoffs in 2017 with a pretty young team. And now this year, this team was one of the youngest teams in baseball. The Red Sox, when they won the World Series in 2013, that was the reason he got hired. They were one of the oldest teams in baseball, a completely different format. So it doesn't mean they can't work with them. Mendoza also has other roles, kind of in the middle tier right now.
I think this was a great hire. The best hire they've had over the last 6 years. I think he's better than Mickey Callaway. I think he's better than Rojas and Buck Showalter, who is a guy I thought was going to help the development of some of these youngsters and then wasn't going to take them to the next level. They were going to have somebody like Carlos Mendoza to take over to take them to the next level. I like the hire. I know the Met fans thought it was going to be Craig Counsell and they were going to overpay for him, but I think Craig Counsell had no thoughts of coming to the Mets. Craig Counsell, if he was going to jump ship, he was going to jump ship and get the most possible money he was going to get, and the Cubs were going to give him the most.
The Cubs paid him $8 million a year for 5 years as a manager. I don't think any team was going to think to do that because the front office also has a lot of power when it comes to managerial strategy because of the analytics department now. So this high-end manager, unless you're a Bruce Bochy or somebody like that, is not going to be a mandatory thing for every team. And while the Mets were probably going to pay him a lot, they weren't going to pay him $8 million a year. The Cubs had to make sure they had to sweeten the offer to get him to leave the Brewers because it looked like he was going to stay with the Brewers too. They just had to renegotiate the deal, and they swarmed in really quickly. But the Mets know they're not a manager away just from Buck Showalter was a problem, but not the only problem. The Mets have more of a talent deficiency.